So we are officially at 5:30, and if you can wave to me, this is a cat's mic, so it does not amplify, but I can amplify pretty well. So if you can't hear me, please just wave your hand at me. For those I haven't met, I'm Carrie Thompson. I'm the mayor. It is my great privilege to serve this city. I see that we have some Board of Public Safety members with us. We have at least 2 City Council members, Sydney Zulik and Isabel Piedmont-Smith are here. And then there's some members of the administration. Deputy Mayor Gretchen Knapp is here. Planning Director David Hittle is here. We have police union as well as both chief and deputy chief here. So we're really thrilled to have you here for this information session. If you have, and Captain Pettigo's back there, and who else am I, and Chief Kerr is here. And who else am I missing? My team knows that I always miss something, so you're welcome to point it out. Okay, if I've missed you, I apologize, and please wave at me and I'll correct myself. So I want to, for those of you who are used to coming to my listening sessions, which have like this much talking and then a lot of listening, this is an information session. We have been around the block several times with where is the best place for our police station to go. And I wanted to have an opportunity to update the public on where we are with evaluating police station location, and we are going to make a recommendation for where we think is most appropriate for the police station to ultimately land. And I just want to start with this framing by saying, when I had a vision of running for mayor and being mayor, I had a vision of listening first and then discerning and then acting based on the information that I get, both the facts and the logistics, but also the concerns of the people, both people that are doing the work in Bloomington and the people who are being served by the work that we do. So we started that process very intentionally at the beginning of last year as we evaluated what the former administration had planned on, and then looked at where we are. And so the why is really that the building that you're in right now is already too small for what we need today. I know many of you in this room share my vision for getting our police fully staffed. It frankly has been a hardship to even have as many police as we have in this building. But once we're fully staffed, which we will be, it'll be even more cramped here. And we really wanted to have this meeting inside the police headquarters because we wanted you to see that this building has some improvements that could be made. Many of them you can't see with your eyes right now, like a maxed out power supply, like the mysterious cistern in the basement that has to be emptied once a year, and the damage from flooding and lack of accessibility, et cetera, let alone our inability really to do the work of the police in a secure way here. So it has been determined, we agree with that determination, that the police, this building won't do the trick for us. We need a new plan, and there are several reasons that we need a new plan, but one of the reasons we need a new plan, as you all know, the former administration had planned to go into Showers West. We evaluated that. We will be discussing that tonight. But no matter where BPD moves, or even if they were to stay here and we added on, which is another possibility that we'll be reviewing tonight, the bond that is in existence has really, it does not have capacity in it to support funding the infrastructure for the police at this time. So from the outset, it was acknowledged that the fire projects were really more pressing and urgent. The police project could stay on hold. We have relocated the fire administration now. So Chief Kerr and his administration team and our MAHs are all over at Showers West now. Fire Station 1 is complete. If you haven't been there, it's awesome. Go visit. It's beautiful. There were also necessary, very significant items that were removed from the plan in Showers West just to kind of shoehorn more into that bond. And so the way that Showers West was proposed, we wouldn't have had, even if we chose to locate it there, we wouldn't have had a complete police station with that bond. So Showers West has been determined not to be viable. We will go over that quickly. We're going to talk about sort of what we have looked at and then what we're looking at right now. There were several possibilities on the radar. One was to do something here that would involve knocking it down or a major renovation. Another was to find an entirely new site, either repurposing an existing building or building from scratch. And then the third possibility was to go into Showers West. So as I mentioned, we decided that Showers West really was not a viable solution for the police. We stand by that now. So we are no longer considering Showers West. I wanted to just give you a quick peek at the status of the public safety bond so that you understand where the money did go. Here on the left, and I'm just going to sort of talk this through a little bit. Here on the left, this chart is the original proposed costs. So you see the purchase of Showers West, the renovation of Showers West, rebuild Fire 1, Fire 3, and a logistics and training center for fire. The second chart there shows what we have used and what is encumbered, essentially, what we plan to use in that original bond. And then the third chart over here shows you the anticipated balance in that bond. So we anticipate that when all is said and done, when we have a logistics center and the completion of Fire 3, we'll have about close to $1.6 million left in this public safety bond. So I am going to turn things over to Chris Cioli of Weddle Brothers. Chris has been working on this project for a long time, worked through the Showers West design phases, very familiar with that project, and we have asked him over the course of the past year to evaluate several other scenarios. So he's going to walk you through all of these evaluations, and then we are going to take questions at the end and land with a recommendation as well. So Chris, I'm going to invite you up.
All right, thank you, Mayor. So as Mayor said, Weddle Brothers was originally involved in the Showers West project as part of the public safety projects. Went through that whole process with evaluating how to get within budget, worked with the previous administration to do so. What I'd like to do here is just walk you through really the past year on the various scenarios that we've looked at. We've evaluated pros and cons for each scenario, more evaluating it not so much on what we recommend, but just what's what and what works. So take a little bit of time just to walk you through what we have and try to work this clicker. All right, perfect. So we're starting with Showers West. Evaluating the pros of Showers West and the cons. First, I think the biggest draw to Showers West was the location. It's centrally located. It was owned by the city of Bloomington, or purchased through the public safety bond for the city of Bloomington, the intent to put the fire administration and the Bloomington police station over there. One of the big pros is that it's designed. The work was done. architect or engineers went through it. They designed it through many renditions, I want to say. It was, I like to refer to it as like an accordion because it got really big, it shrank, it got bigger, and back and forth, and then through some work we finally got it to what it is, or as bid. And then it's also located on public transit. One of the biggest cons to locating the police station in Showers West is the type of building that it is. It's a historical building, has wood frame walls, wood subfloors. I can't verify that any of them are, truly level. So I think it's an old building. I mean, limestone foundations likely. So you get in and you start trying to do linoleum or LVT, plank flooring. It has to be level to do that, and that was a risk that we were going to take in order to do that job. There's poor road access in the proximity to the Beeline Trail, and we'll get to an image, aerial image here, that kind of shows the pinch points of that property. Inadequate parking for the fleet. So this, again, we'll see this on the aerial image, but there's a parking lot that's located. It was a former CFC property. It's on the west side of the Showers West, and it's not very big. So you have the Trades District parking garage on one end, you have the city office parking, which is covered, farmers market area, and then you have that little lot that's just directly to the west of Showers West. And there wasn't a whole lot of room for expansion shy of going into the parking garage. We can get to that here in a minute, which has its own issues. Limited room for expansion. So that building, the way it being a historical building, one, would have been very difficult to do any sort of significant modifications to it. But just in general, where it's located in that tight area up against the parking lot where the parking is limited already, you don't really want to poke out of the building. If you go to the east, you're going into City Hall. If you go to the north, you're going into the county-owned portion of Showers. So it's really, really confined and restricted. The original budget was simply inadequate. The original number that was put out there, I think, was, it said, here's what you have available to build it. Can you do it? We'll put some numbers on it. We'll see what happens. When you really dig into it, it didn't support the needs of what BPD had. And then also the CALIA rating that BPD currently has, it was going to be really, really hard to achieve that and maintain it. And during the Q&A question, if they want to dig into what that exactly means, Chief Decoff would be better to speak to that than I am, but I know that it's accreditation that they worked really hard to achieve and maintain. They don't want to lose it. And then the final point, it didn't have the support of the union. I think all along they voiced their concerns of location, security, how long is this building going to last? And I may have glossed over that one, but the likelihood of this building being a long-term facility for the BPD, it wasn't there. Noting that had inadequate parking, it was restricted on growth, the building's wood framed. You were probably looking at maybe a 10-year solution at best. That's in my guess, because we weren't really planning for the future with it. It was more, this is what we set our sights out to do, so this is what we're going to do. I'm going to just jump to this aerial image so I can highlight the restrictions that I was trying to speak of. And so the parking that I'm referring to is all limited to this space right here. And I've tried to show that with 2 stars. This is your access in to the parking area, this is your access out of the parking area, or in, either way. But in the event somebody wanted to one, cause some major disruption, it'd be pretty easy to block that off. 2, if you look at how would you leave the site, you've got to cross, if you're going to go to the west, you're going to cross the Beeline either way to get out of there, which poses safety risk and concern. If you're going to go to the east, you're driving through the parking lot of City Hall to get out of there. So there's some significant safety concerns associated with that. Also, the portion that's in the yellow shaded area, this is what was allocated for the BPD. the area just to the, would be the south, was originally slated for fire administration. So that the project was kind of broke out in that area. All right, this is the part that I think is kind of eye-opening for a lot. And can everybody hear me okay? Sorry, I should have asked that a long time ago. So somewhat, I'll try to speak up. So items removed. So as Mayor mentioned, the budget didn't support the ask. So working with the previous administration, they decided to supply a lot of items by owner, defer a cost, if you will. So I'll just run through these, then we can talk to a little bit more in depth. But controlled access and security. So your badge readers, your cameras, they were taken out. That's a big price tag. They took those out of the police station and said, we will contract that directly at a later date. Don't include it in the project. All gun storage and pistol lockers, loose equipment that's absolutely necessary for police station, taken out. Any connections, pass-throughs to the City Hall side were removed. One of the big reasons for this property was the interconnectivity, being able to go back and forth. Staff restrooms, there were some staff restrooms that had to be removed to get within budget. Emergency generators were bid as an alternate. This goes with the CALEA rating. We have to be able to maintain standby power if in the event that power goes out for 72 hours. This building, the way it was set up was when we bid it as 3 generators in an effort to help reduce on maintenance cost, and also lead times of generators right now are just out of this world, so trying to figure out how we could get that accomplished. But those were an alternate. Duct work, almost all of the duct work in the facility was being reused. So the HVAC system, they were going to replace some of the units themselves, but reusing the duct work that was existing. The pumps that were in there, circulating pumps for the water, were all going to be reused. So a lot of the systems, they weren't being touched. It was just kind of putting a Band-Aid on it. Yeah, and that goes back to the short-term solution. The PV, the solar system, roof-mounted, was taken out of the project. Any site improvements were removed. The lockers and workbenches for the employees were taken out. All workstations and writing stations were removed. All shelving, including the high-density shelving, which was really a lot of it's geared towards evidence storage. So they can store a lot of stuff in a small space, was removed. And then there was a large group room, I know was a big ask of the department, that had to be taken out. I want to jump back just to the area we talk about the site improvements. So along the lines, they had talked about doing a project or adding on to the project or an additional project down the road to modify the Trades District parking garage. That was not in the job. That was supposed to be another job down the road to update that to accommodate the needs of the station. So I think it's very important that when this was presented to council, it was within budget, but it wasn't really a full project. There was going to be a lot of expense that came on the back end that would have had to been paid for some way or the other. So that's super important that the community is aware of that. I'm going to jump forward to the current BPD headquarters and discuss some of the items we've gone through there as well. And I'm trying to keep my voice up. I'm sorry. Okay. So pros and cons of the existing BPD headquarters. Central location. This is a great location. I understand that it works well. It's easy access to main roads, quick to dispatch. Has adequate parking for the BPD fleet. They have a lot of surface parking. They have road parking, street parking, so that allows them to have that space. Property is already owned by the City of Bloomington. It's currently in use. It's been modified over the years. The employees are familiar with the space. The cons. In order to accommodate future growth and actual needs right now, it isn't big enough. The current footprint of the building, the way that it's utilized, doesn't meet the needs of the BPD. There was a flood a few years ago, most people recall. The basement flooded, a lot of damage to the building. I know they did a lot of repairs to fix it, but touring the building and looking, there's still water infiltration. There's a lot of damage to the exterior walls, the foundations. I know that they did a lot of work with the Jordan River, and they're confident that it won't happen again. I'm not so confident that water levels won't go up again. So I think it's only a matter of time before there is more water damage. The electrical service, just based on the needs, the building isn't set up to meet the needs of the current electrical demand. Sure, it could be upgraded, but it comes with an expense. This is the one that was probably most eye-opening to me, is it's not ADA compliant at all. If you walk through this facility and you look at the ramps on the outside of the building, you go into some of the restrooms, just navigate this building, and there's some very significant challenges. And not knocking it, I understand everybody did what they had to do to make things work, but it needs some improvement, major improvement. And then, if you were to come in and do a significant renovation on this building, what are you going to do with the staff? So you have to set up a temporary police headquarters somewhere. And that's not simple. That's going to come with a lot of expenses. All the things that we mentioned that were pulled out of the Showers West project, they'd have to be put into the temporary headquarters anyway. So you're going to move that out of here likely, put it somewhere else, get everything set up, whether it's radio security, everything that goes into their daily operation function, and you're going to build a project to build a project, essentially. So you're going to spend added cost for that. And it's not designed. We explored some options, what theoretically could or couldn't work. We talked about going up. We talked about going out. Sure, anything's possible, but it all comes with an expense. You have to purchase it. You have to design it. You have to displace employees and occupants, and that is very challenging. Just jump into the overhead view of this, and I think that I might be off on this slightly. So current station, parking, I believe this is parking as well. So they also have this parking, and then I believe they have Bell Street parking just to the east. But again, you see that they're along 3rd Street. They have nice access out onto the main thoroughfare. They can easily access town in any direction. And it's on public transit. I think that's important to highlight. So moving on to Rogers Street. 714 South Rogers. This is a piece of property that is owned by the city of Bloomington. One thing about this building that I think is positive is it's rugged. It's a concrete structure. There's not a piece of wood in there that I'm aware of. Concrete decks, concrete walls. Every other wall in there is concrete. It's solid, and I think that it has a lot of opportunity. Go in there and you have a piece of property that is currently vacant, and it's a large building that needs something done with it. It's centrally located. Its access has easy access to main roadways, fast for dispatch. There's a lot of parking associated with it. I'll show you on the aerial. Vacant property. Again, the building's steel and concrete. It's very, very robust. There's room for future growth and expansion. Possibility of co-locating some sort of services if that was the desire of the city. It's on public transit. But it's not directly located against the Beeline Trail, which I think, going back to the Showers West project, that's a drawback, being so close. It's nice to have access where people, the community members, can come and go, but not right up against the building. I'm going to digress just for a minute. One of the things that we had to talk about in Showers West, being so close to the trail, required some additional exterior upgrades for security purposes, because there was so much foot traffic right by the building. This building, the design, the structure, the components, that's much less. You go from a wood frame building, it's 100 years old, to a steel and concrete building, it's not even the same conversation, very different. And then I think the final pro that I'd highlight is that through conversation, it seems like this is very supported by the union and current leadership of BPD. Cons, it requires interior demolition to get the building ready for work, as would Showers West, so I think that's something to put out there at the same time. Site has to be brought up to UDO standards, so make sure that we're in compliance with what the city planning and the city of Bloomington require. This area is slightly more residential, though with a history of emergency services, and then also requires a design. So jumping into the aerial, just want to kind of put things in context. You have First Street, you have South Rogers, the buildings here. Everything in the yellow shaded area is available space, all parking, flat surface area for the fleet. That gives it, plenty of space for future growth and accommodates what they currently have. Okay. Can we jump into this?
Yep.
Okay. All right. So we did some high-level cost comparisons, just trying to do square foot numbers, theoretical. What are we looking at versus, what for each scenario. And I think one thing that's important is I want to start with Showers West is the $23,850,000. When this went as a bid time, the number did not include the costs for purchase of the building, and that needs to be included, which is highlighted up here as the $8,750,000. When you add that on to what the bid price was, minus, which doesn't include the things that were removed, you're at the $23,850,000. So if you add all of the items in that were taken out at bid time, that value is probably going to go far past that $23 million that's represented. Expanding the current building, again, we looked at if they were to expand out, where would it go? You'd have to purchase some sort of property, and my understanding, you saw in the aerial what the city owns. So if you want to go any wider than that, you have to do some negotiation with your neighbors, see if they would buy or sell, allow us to buy. So we plugged in a value of $1 million. Don't know if that's what that represents, just a placeholder, but there is a cost. Renovation, about $22 million. So you're somewhere in the ballpark, same cost of what the Showers West project was. And again, this is all kind of square foot prices. And then 714 South Rogers, we took the square feet of that building, multiplied it by what we're seeing the going rate in Bloomington for build out, and also what we saw for Showers West cost, and just multiplied it. It's very, very high level at this point because there's not been a significant amount, but we believe in our experience and what we've seen in Bloomington, those numbers hold true. We're pretty accurate in our budget, so I'm confident in saying that that would cover what that expense would be. All right. Yep.
So it is our recommendation that we move forward with exploring the 714 South Rogers as our new police headquarters. When I started this conversation with the police very early in my term and said, if you could be anywhere, where would you be? They said, Hopewell. Put us at 2nd and Rogers, because that is the place that has the best access. It just so happens that we own a concrete bunker a block away from there that is really a 50-year picture for Bloomington and for our police, and Chief Dekoff and Chief Oldham have been through the building with a number of officers, and I believe the union reps have been in the building. It's really sort of a building that is perfect if you're going to repurpose a building. This is the building that is location, 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 and happens to have all of the substantive concrete that we need to make it happen. So I'm gonna, I want to point this out. We are going to continue to take comments on the considerations that we need to make this work, any major concerns that we may not have thought of, and we're going to, we have at least 20 minutes now to answer questions. So I'm going to invite Chief Dekoff and Deputy Mayor Knapp up, and Chris and I will stay up here. And if you have union-specific questions, I'm sure Jeff and Paul would be happy to pop up and answer some questions too. So please let us know what your questions are. Laura.
I'm just wondering what a time frame is when you would be hoping to put you in the headquarters once it's all renovated?
Yeah, so we have to go through a process of, obviously, of design, build, and design approvals, build. So we think we're at least 18 months out, but it all depends on for completion. Okay. Yeah.
It's not like the jail.
No, no. And I think it's. I just want to express this. We're sort of downtown here, and there we're a little bit more in a neighborhood. As we get more and more towards fully staffed police, we are really focused on being friendly police, neighborhood centered, and accessible. And so you know what it feels like to walk into this police building. This one has the opportunity to really feel more welcoming and more like you can belong. So, yes?
There's a lot behind the old medical arts building. Is that owned by the city now?
Can you be specific? Is it part of the behind, meaning to the west?
Those quarters?
Yes, that's ours.
Okay. Because there's going to be a lot more available parking there.
Yes, the parking possibilities here are much more significant. And I should note, as we're talking about parking, the Trades District garage has virtually been all committed at this point. We have a new hotel going in there. We, of course, have completed the Forge. So we already know that the parking will be too short there. That was long ago determined. Yes?
This is my neighborhood. This is McDowell. I'm one of the founding members of the McDowell Gardens Neighborhood Association. I should hate this, but I don't, because we've been wondering what in the heck do you do with that, the old Bloomington Convalescent Center. That is brutalist architecture. That was the first time I learned that. I think it was Alex Crowley that clued me in on that one. And aptly named. That it's very Soviet. It's very, very much something that you would, expect to have been built back when I was a child in Russia. But our whole problem has been, and I know, Isabel and I've had this conversation. It's like you got a whole lot of concrete in that thing, and concrete is very energy intensive, and it would be a shame, well, it would be hard to knock it down in the first place, but it would also be a shame to waste all of that concrete. We're not going to be real happy with a whole bunch more sirens going off in the neighborhood, but we're used to it. And at least they won't be flying helicopters over us the way the hospital was doing. So, life's a series of compromises, and it looks like we're going to be making some. At least we'll have an awful lot of officers in and out, and yeah, we've got a very significant issue with the unhoused and other elements that are attracted to, that an awful lot of the amenities that we have in the neighborhood. So, this is the first time that we as a neighborhood have been aware of this proposal. But we won't have to wonder where we can meet as a neighborhood association. Yeah, so I'll grudgingly approve.
Well, I really appreciate your understanding, and this is not really a proposal yet. As I open this meeting, noting we are committed to listening and making the changes needed to make this as amenable as possible. And we have put it through a few screens, as you can see, to see if this really is our best case scenario. And so far, this is our best case scenario. And we don't want to put the police on hold too much longer because this building is really inadequate. But I do want to note that I'll be knocking doors in McDowell next week, talking about this, getting one-on-one input, and happy to come to a neighborhood meeting, and I'm sure Chief Dekoff would be happy to come with me to get feedback so that we can make this the best it can be. Yes?
I may have missed it, but what is the comparative square footage in the three sites? And second question is, any thought about what will happen with this building other than perhaps an underground swimming pool?
Good question.
So the square footage of this building is about 20,000 square feet. South Rider Street property is 56,000 square feet. And Showers West was roughly 25,000, I think.
So again, there's room for some co-located services or co-located departments, et cetera. And we have not made determinations about this building. I have committed to the families of the original donors that if it won't be a city purpose, we would come back to them. But they really have strong feelings that they'd like this property to be used for the good of the community. And I think we've heard from community members and council members several needed services that may be served by an organization other than the city or even the city. So hasn't been determined yet. Yes.
We have enough addictions treatment facilities in the neighborhood now, especially with the Indiana Center for Recovery. So, that we get along fine with Centerstone. We don't have a problem with Centerstone. They're a not-for-profit. But we don't need more of that, but we do need more police.
Thank you. So, we need many services in our community, and I think it's important to acknowledge that we need a balance of locations for various services, and as I mentioned before, especially with something like the police station, location is incredibly important. Their ability to access the whole city is really critical. And I saw a hand. Oh, Talisha.
Just saying it's a fabulous presentation. It was very clear and it makes it very obvious. And what a great opportunity was meant to be, right? What a great opportunity to have that space.
Well, again, we're open to our blind spots, but when we thought of this building and, called over to the police and said, hey, what do you think of this? We all sort of thought, yeah, why didn't we think of it sooner? So again, open to our blind spots and to improving this possibility, but so far, many are very enthusiastic.
Having worked at the BCC for several decades, I'm sure this will be resolved though through the construction. It smells horrible.
It smells even worse now.
You got your work cut out for you there.
That's right, that's right. Sydney?
With rising construction costs, is there any anticipation for an increase in renovation price?
Yes. So that's a great question, and yeah, absolutely, with inflation and rising costs, as I mentioned, this is kind of high level, just based on square footage, and when the project actually goes into design and happens, you have to evaluate the likelihood that there will be a raise in cost, but based on, when these numbers were put together, it was our best shot at what we were seeing in the market at the time.
Yes, Christopher.
This is another question for Chris. Good presentation, by the way. This was perfect. What is like a ballpark figure to demolish a building like this?
I'm going to turn to the guy behind you. Just tell me before.
Bloomington Hospital, as a comparison, all in was about $5 million. So you're talking probably somewhere into that, maybe 500 to a million.
I think we did have one of the developers that was looking at Hopewell include a demolition cost that was upwards of $1 million to demolish. Sorry, another question. Yes?
So you highlighted the items that were pulled out by the previous administration for the code for Showers West. The number you showed for 714 South Rogers, are those items included in that?
Yeah, so when we were looking at it, the fact that we believe that we can get that ballpark figure with that.
There are some considerable cost savings in not having to do the structural pieces for antenna and security.
So one thing on Showers West that I started to go into and I stopped, but some of the stuff that was required, we had, based on the structure, there was some RF shielding that had to be done in the walls because it wasn't concrete, so having the wood framing, with the making sure that people aren't interfering with radio transmission and whatnot, that was built into the Showers West project. There was some ballistic type film that was going to go over the windows because of the how close they were to the Beeline Trail. That was significant. So there are some very high cost items that were built into the Showers West project that won't be required with the South Rogers project.
Yes?
Pretty close to the substation. You got adequate power there, electrical power. You're talking about that being an issue at Shower. Or here, or what were you saying?
Here, yes. So the building power infrastructure was going to need to be upgraded, not the Duke infrastructure. Yes, yes. So in a remodel that, we would do new electrical. Oh, I'm sorry, Isabel?
What would be the basis for the future bonds? Would it be property taxes or?
We haven't gotten that far, honestly. We need to work numbers and look at the best potential financing for this. So when we know it's a go, we'll start investing the next step of research into the project. You'll be included, Isabel. Other comments? I want to invite members of the union, if you want to say anything about the project, just want to open it up in case you have something you want to share. No obligation to do so.
I'll come up front, sure. Hi, my name is Paul. I'm the president of the FOP here. We're very enthusiastic about this. The old plan had a lot of issues that we brought up, and we really looked into it. And so we really appreciate being included in this planning up front. And I've been through that building. It's a really good space, I think, that we can repurpose. So we look forward to working with Mayor Thompson and her administration and doing something else. Thank you.
It really says something if they like that building despite the smell. And right now you have to go through it with flashlights, so. The police are fluent in the language of possibility, I think. Okay, yes?
What must be done to the exterior to make it a little bit more attractive?
It's a good suggestion. We will, you know, we haven't done anything in terms of design yet, but I think many of us would like it to be more attractive, whether we do that through landscaping or actual changes to the facade of the building. But so noted. And I know that this is new information to many of you, so we didn't expect a thumbs up or a thumbs down or any kind of well thought out questions tonight. I got a thumbs up though from the front. And so I do just want to emphasize that we have this up. We are going to continue to take comments and feedback as we progress with this plan, but my commitment to transparency is that we do some due diligence, so we don't just bring you a blank slate. And we're well enough through our due diligence to know that we think this is the best place for a police department. We would love you to improve our thoughts with comments and other things like the facade that may be improved through this process. So this is up. Again, I'll be knocking doors in McDowell next week. Happy to come to a neighborhood meeting, and we're happy to have other times to listen to folks as we move through this process. I want to acknowledge it's hard to figure out all of the things that are happening in the city. And so my administration is trying to do our best outreach. We are putting things up on our webpage, on Facebook. Desiree, our amazing communications director, also has an email that she sends out. So if you're not on that list, feel free to get your name on that list. But we'll continue to provide updates to try to give you the information that you're looking for. But don't hesitate to reach out to us. If you're like, hey, are you progressing with that police station? I haven't heard anything about it. We're happy to fill you in on where we are. But this is sort of the mid-level beginning stage of what we think is the best possible scenario for our community. So I want to thank you all for coming. If there are no other questions, I'm going to gift you the rest of your evening back, and really thank you for, oh, Steve has a question.
Where do I sign up for the newsletter on this?
Yes, well, it's a general newsletter. We don't have a newsletter. Yeah. We don't want to have 50 newsletters.
We probably do have 50 newsletters.
But we don't want to. So Desiree, do you want to yell out how to get on that list?
Yeah, you can go to our website on the Office of the Mayor page, or you can conveniently come over here and I'll sign you up right now.
We got that.
I got your number. Yeah.
And Desiree will be the first to admit the city webpage is still pretty hard to navigate. So we are working on it. There will be a new webpage, but we're always happy to direct you to the place you're trying to find, because sometimes we're searching for it too. So again, thank you for coming. Sign up for that newsletter if you're interested, and really appreciate your investment in our community by being here tonight.